Welcome everybody to another episode of Media Chop Up. I am your boy Serge, aka Sergerilla, and I'm joined by my two closest friends and experts, Jason and Kyle. Are you
What's
laughing
up?
at the fact you're an expert? You're an expert, man.
Yeah.
We be having these conversations. We go real deep on this, so we are official experts by
Gotcha.
by our own standards. But nonetheless, um, we decided to structure this episode on a conversation we were having in terms of comparing actors. Everybody wants to compare actors. The Pacino versus De Niro, like all these great actors. We decided to compare two juggernauts at their craft, two journeymen in Denzel versus Samuel L. Jackson, right? So basically, we did a spin-off of a play of the movie Face Off, and we have them going against each other. Now, granted, these guys are two completely different actors, and they take a lot of different jobs and different storylines, but at the end of the day, they're both masters of their craft. I have so much respect for all of them. I think Samuel Jackson has been a part of 198 movies in his whole career. That's not even including TV or plays, Broadway. So
Wow.
these guys are just so decorated, man. They're the top of the top, and we figured why not put them against each other and compare them to each other in certain categories. We made the categories. I'll go through them. These are the five categories we decided to compare them with. All right. First category would be best law enforcement role, best military role, best character portrayal, best monologue, and finally most dynamic range. Now, obviously, both these guys have great range, when it comes to their roles and stuff like that. Um, Anything you guys want to add before we jump into this any of these guys?
Yeah, sure. So for me, like Serge and I was talking about this. I think this was a great comparison because these are two guys who have a lot of different range and portrayals. So this should be interesting. Two very different styles of delivery. One is always the calm, cool, strong, collective. The other one is the loud, aggressive one. So this should be interesting. Yeah, and just to think that we was gonna get them both in the Five Bloods. They was both going to be in the Five Bloods, just due to scheduling conflicts. It didn't
Ah,
work out, which would have been
yes.
great.
I think them working together is kind of like when people wanted De Niro and Pacino to work together. And then when they worked together, it was like magic. And in the movie Heat, when you got Pacino and De Niro together and
Yeah,
they were playing off each other, good guy versus bad guy, it was epic. It was dope.
yeah,
And I feel like this can, the right storyline and script, putting these two together could be fun. You
yeah,
know, with
Even if
Samuel, what happened?
I say, even if you have them in a movie where they're not in the same scene together, like De Niro and Pacino,
Mm,
they were in Godfather too, but you see what I'm saying? They
yeah.
weren't
yeah.
on screen together. So even in something like that, I think people would love if the two of them would star in a movie together. You know what I mean?
I don't know
Yeah.
about you, but when I see like two big actors that I truly enjoy and they finally get together, I get geeked out. I'm like, oh shit, oh shit. I want to see how they're playing off each other, and so on and so on.
All
Especially
right.
if the script is good. What I was gonna say before we jump into this, right? Some things may be one-sided, obviously Denzel has taken many, many, many more leading man roles where Sam has taken more. He'll take a
Any and
little
everything.
any and everything. Exactly. If he wants to be a part of Quentin Tarantino's joint and he may not have the time in his schedule because that's what happens with actors, scheduling and so on and filming. He may be away, he may be busy, whatever, he may be under contract. Sam will take the smallest role. Like he'll like in Kill Bill, I realized Sam was in. I was like, Sam was in this movie. He played a organ player. Such a small part of the movie, but he wants to be a part of a masterpiece, or he's like, he's almost like saying like, yo, you call me. I don't care. You call me. I'll find a way to be in it, even if I'm just narrating. And I
Yeah.
love and I respect that. Big time, big time. Me and Jason were talking about how Denzel hasn't worked with Quentin. because of a rift that they had all these years, supposedly that they squashed, but it was like a difference of presentation. He didn't like the way he was writing certain scripts, how he representing certain
Hmm.
dynamics.
Yeah.
So and you know, and he's standing by his morals, and you know, I respect it. But nonetheless, I would love to see Denzel in a Quentin movie, but that's a little side note, right?
Yeah. I think it's gonna be that's far fetched. But we'll see.
It could
Or maybe
happen.
Spike will be the guy to bring them together.
Well,
Spike.
Spike and Quint and Tarantino don't get along at all. So I don't know if that's gonna, you know,
I'm
I think
talking
they
about
have the same argument.
I'm talking about Spike bringing together these guys together.
Right,
You know,
right,
Sam and Denzel. And just
Oh,
so you
Sam
know,
and Denzel. Oh
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
right.
just a little side note. Denzel. Everybody says Denzel Washington. It's actually Denzel.
Denzel. Yeah, in the
Denzel.
interview he said it.
And I've tried to say it that way. I'm sorry, Denzel. I mean Denzel. It, I'm not used to saying it, so I'm gonna refer to it as Denzel, as we all lovingly refer to. But okay.
What's that?
So or Zell. Okay. You know him that well. Hey Zell. Hey, we're gonna do a show. You want to check it out, you feel free. All right. All right. So first category would be best law enforcement role, and that's a big window to fill. We're gonna start off with Jason. What did you choose for your best law enforcement role for Samuel Jackson?
For Samuel, okay, all right. Let me get my notes here. All right. So I came up with three picks. All
Okay.
right. And the third pick is really near and dear to my heart. It might surprise you,
Okay.
but National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1, man. I had to go
What?
with something comic. Something comic, right?
I
Of
did not.
all,
I
if
did
you
not
think
expect
about
that.
it, Samuel, let me tell you something. Samuel is a hilarious guy when he wants to be, right?
Yes.
How
Okay.
could you be two detectives investigating cocaine and Girl Scout cookies? You know what I'm saying?
I,
Now,
you're right. Okay.
now I
Okay.
think it was a great spoof. A lot of people didn't like it,
Okay.
but to me, it's just a fun choice. I just went with that. I don't want to waste
What's the
time.
name? What's the name of that movie again?
National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon 1 with him and Emilio Estevez.
I've never seen that. What
It's
year did that
basically
come
a
out?
spoof of Lethal Weapon.
Okay. It
You know
sounds
what
like
I'm
it.
saying?
It sounds like it. Okay.
But I think it was a funny movie. He had a lot of fun with the role.
Okay.
And, I just picked it. Number 2 was Lakeview Terrace from 2008.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've all seen that one. He was really good in that.
Yeah.
With the, biracial couple moves in next door and, you know.
hmm
But number one choice, I had to go with Shaft from 2000 by the late, great John Singleton. He's really missed. I just got to say that. John Singleton was a terrific director.
We were just talking about
Just
that.
got to say something quick about him. Nominated for an Oscar at age 21. I mean, we all know the films he made. But Samuel and
Absolutely.
Shaft, when I first found out they were remaking, I was kind of, I love the original. I love Richard Roundtree.
Yeah.
But
And I think they went two movies with him, so obviously he did it well
yeah,
enough where
he did.
it's a remake and people held it near and dear because it was a TV show from the
Right.
70s. And if there's anyone who can fulfill that role, it would be
But Sam
him.
had the
Yeah.
toughness, he had the coolness, and he was great in that role. And I can't even imagine any other actor in that role, to
Sam is
be honest.
always cool, right? He's always
Yeah,
cool in everything he
yeah.
does.
So those are
All
my
right.
choices.
Okay. So I'm gonna go second. So
All right.
for my best law enforcement, um, since you mentioned Shaft, I had that was one of my options. Um, two of my other options were SWAT and a negotiator. I'm gonna go with the negotiator. Mostly because SWAT, which was a great movie, which is also a remake, um, he wasn't a leading man, and basically there was a lot of star power in that movie, right? And it was a great movie. Action storyline was good, intense. But Negotiator, he was a leading man, and he played Danny Roman, the best police negotiator, with a twist where they basically set him up, and then basically he went from going to a scene where he was supposed to be the negotiator to they were gonna arrest him because he was set up by somebody up the chain, and he realized, holy shit, this is deep. And then he held all these people, so he knew exactly what to expect as a negotiator, holding people captive. He was one step ahead, so he was great in that. It was intense. I think what's his name was in that as well. I have his picture in my head. It ends with a standoff between the two of them at the end. Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey.
With a standoff between him and Kevin Spacey at the end, and that's my best law enforcement role for Samuel Jackson.
All right. So
What about?
I have a combination of both of your choices. I
Mhm.
have the negotiator, the first Shaft, not the second one. The
Okay.
first Shaft that came out, and I have SWAT
Yeah.
as my third. But my sleeper pick was the cleaner. Um,
Ooh.
the cleaner was a good one, but he was a retired law enforcement doing some PI
Yeah.
work.
Okay.
But yeah,
It's
that was
connected.
it.
It's connected. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I've, I've never seen that. I've heard of it. Never seen it.
That's a good movie.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's one of his low key movies. He plays a PI, who was retired from the force, and he stumbles upon something, and his job was to go into clean up scenes after there was like a bloody murder or anything like that. His job, was to do that, and he came across something, and it sent him down a roller coaster ride.
It sounds so
Um,
familiar. It
yeah,
sounds so familiar.
yeah,
Okay.
and an
Okay.
honorable mention. Sorry, not to take up too much time. An honorable
No, it's
mention would
okay.
be with Bruce Willis and Die Hard.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was great in that.
yeah.
He
He was
was
a
great, man. He held the limelight, not the limelight, but just the spotlight in that movie.
yeah,
Comedic, all that stuff. He was great,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah. Was it Die Hard with a Vengeance?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
one of the earlier ones, and they just got crazy after a while. But yeah,
Okay.
uh,
All
right.
right. All right. Cool. So let's move to the next one, Denzel. So Denzel, we're gonna start with Kyle. Which is your favorite law enforcement role for Denzel?
Um, Shocker. It's not going to be Training Day.
Okay.
I'm
All right.
going with Inside Man. A
Mm.
Spike Lee joint,
I can
New
picture you going
York.
with it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Spike Lee joint. Love the way it was shot. I loved it. The two other ones I had was Out of Time, which is another
I
thriller.
watched that the other day. It was so good, man. My wife
Yeah.
was like, "Why are you watching this? You see this before?" I was like, "It's intense."
Yeah, it's intense. Once it
It's
gets
good.
started, it's
Yeah,
good. And the
yeah.
last one would be Training Day,
Okay,
for me. So I have
so you're gonna
Inside
go.
Man. Inside Man is my choice.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So Jason, which is your choice for law enforcement
Um,
role?
I'll reveal the first choice. The third choice is Ricochet from 1991,
Hmm.
where he played,
Very good.
he played district attorney and terrorized by by John Lithgow because he put him away years ago when he was a cop. Real good movie.
Yeah,
Number
very
two
good.
is I chose Inside Man as number two. It's a terrific movie,
Hmm.
terrific performance. And number one, I know that's probably a boring choice, but I had to go with Training Day.
It's not a boring choice. It's an
It's a
obvious choice.
predictable,
Yeah,
yeah, very
Yeah,
obvious
it's
choice.
but
exactly, exactly.
yeah, I just like a lot of people,
Don't
they
feel
love.
guilty. Yeah, yeah.
It's a beloved performance. He was just what can you say?
Like I say,
Admirable.
if you're an actor and you have so many movies that people are teeter tottering on which is your best type of role in that says a lot about you, right?
Yeah,
Totally
yeah,
different storylines, and you're bringing it to the screen every single time.
right,
So,
right.
so I love that about him. So my choice, I'll tell you what I was choosing between. Obviously, Training Day, Fallen, which I
Mm.
love,
That's a
the
great choice.
Bone Collector, and the Magnificent Seven for law enforcement role.
That's
Uh,
interesting.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm just trying to. Sometimes I try to think different.
Hmm.
But for my first choice, I'm gonna go with Fallen. He played Detective John Hobbs, and it was a different type of cop because he wasn't on the offensive; he was on the defensive because um uh someone who was on death row basically it was like a spirit movie where his spirit went from his body and went to the
Hmm.
next person, and basically this being traveled to earth for centuries, and basically they can never get caught because they can all they need to do was touch somebody to go to the next body. So this person was so cocky and arrogant, this spirit, that he decided to keep himself entertained. He would mess with people and ruin their lives, and this person took a liking to Denzel and his family and decided to ruin his life and set him up. And it's real easy to set up because there's no witnesses because you can change bodies and
Hmm.
you can affect people's witnesses' statements because you can go into that body and be like, oh yeah, I saw that guy doing this and this and this. So he was on the defensive the whole movie, and he was trying to protect his family, and I think it was a very, very good movie, and it's totally different. Training Day was a great movie, and in case you didn't know, Training Day was based off a real life person
Mm.
that they took that character from, which he did masterfully. But just to be different, I'm gonna go with Fallen.
Okay.
I give you credit for Bone Collector because I mean he's the guy's lying down for 2 hours in a bed and still
Other than the flashback scenes.
right.
Yeah.
And still he was able, I mean, what can you say, man? The guy's
Okay. So all right, so let's vote, right? So for this first category, we both gave our favorites. With all the roles that we've mentioned, who do you think deserves best law enforcement role? Denzel, who's your vote? Denzel or Sam?
my vote is Denzel.
My
Okay.
vote is Denzel as well. Yeah,
Don't feel
Denzel.
guilty. Don't feel
No,
guilty.
I don't know.
Both these guys are great. They're not going to get in a fist fight after this episode.
No.
Hopefully not. If not,
And we didn't even mention the Jamaican he played in what was it,
Yeah.
Mighty Quinn?
Mighty Quinn.
he did.
So,
That was
yeah.
early in his career. Yeah. So obviously the obvious winner. It doesn't matter. My vote doesn't matter because it's 2-on-1. So the winner of that best law enforcement is going to go to Denzel.
All right.
Zoe.
Zoe. Yeah, Zoe. All right, let me just do something with the score real quick because I'm going to keep the score on the ticker. All right, so let me put that. So Denzel Washington won.
All right.
Boom. All right.
Gotcha.
All right,
All right.
next category. We got best military role, which kind of steps it up from being a cop. Right. So let me go to this one. All right, best military role. I'm gonna start this one. So this was a tough we're gonna start with Samuel Jackson. There are 5 movies that I put down, and sometimes the movie will carry the character enough. Like the storyline is, you don't have to be super great. But my choices are Basic, Rules of Engagement, Patriot Games, The Hateful Eight, and Kong. Now Kong,
Okay.
he was in the military thing, whatever.
No.
But
So,
You're right.
all right.
a lot of people won't consider that a military movie, but nonetheless, that's not my choice. My number one choice is going to be Basic. Basic, a DEA agent solving a mystery of a bungled training exercise that leads to deaths of multiple Army Ranger cadets and their instructor. It puts together Travolta and him together again, and I thought he was masterful in that.
Yeah.
So that's my choice. So Kyle, you got next.
So surprisingly, we have a lot of the same choices here. I have Rules of Engagement,
Okay.
Basic, and Kong as my my choices.
I thought I was the only one.
I didn't put the Hateful Eight because I didn't think military. But had I thought about it, I would have added the Hateful Eight. But if I need to go one, I'm gonna go with Rules of Engagement. Surprisingly,
Yes.
because it's he is a colonel who is instructed to give a difficult order during an attack on a U.S. embassy in the Middle East, and he gives the order, and as we've seen in history now that you give this order and then there's a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking of what you should have done or whatever.
Absolutely,
and he has to fight for his life, and he's going against Tommy Lee Jones in this movie.
Great.
It's really good movie. So I have Rules of Engagement, but Basic was right there. I really love Basic too.
Yeah. Basic was great, and I love the way he looked in his uniform in
Where he had the
Yeah, bro, he's a superhero. That was like Shaft. He's like a Shaft in that,
yeah. Give me real Bison vibes from Street Fighter.
Exactly. Right? All right, Jason, what you got?
You mentioned before how Samuel, his whole career, he's taken like key supporting roles in really solid movies. So my number 3 would be Patriot Games. He's not in, it's a small role, but it's a really, really great role at the end of the movie where, he's providing assistance when the IRA raids Harrison Ford's house. So memorable in that. Number 2, I put Basic in there. I only saw it last night.
Okay.
wow.
I really enjoyed it.
It's like
I
you hear
told-
about it and you're like, oh, I gotta watch it.
yeah.
I tried to
It-
rewatch it, but I've been so busy lately and
right,
other shows. But I watched like
right.
half of it, and I'll go back to it.
And at number one, I had Rules of Engagement. As Kyle
Okay.
said,
Yeah.
he
Okay.
was terrific in it. One thing about Samuel, if you look at his whole career, he's worked with some really great directors. And here he worked with William Friedkin, who made French Connection, The Exorcist. So it's it's a really, I mean, him and Tommy Lee Jones were really good. Even Guy Pearce is in that, and
Yes.
he's
Really
terrific in it.
Yeah, I do like.
So it's-
I like Guy Pearce in certain movies, but yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Yeah,
He was really good.
he
in
was
that.
he was good in that.
Yeah.
definitely.
Nice.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So all right, so let's move to Denzel, right? All right, so Jason, start us off.
First, okay, let me get my notes here. Denzel, man, whew, this is a good category.
The real good category,
Let me see one.
best military.
Oh yeah, so number three, I had him as Lieutenant Colonel Nathan Serling in Courage Under Fire from 1996.
Uh-huh.
A terrific movie, really underrated movie. You don't hear a lot about it, but
Don't.
in that movie, he's haunted by memories of a mistake he made during the Gulf War, and at the same time, he's investigating a deceased female pilot who's up for the Medal of Honor. Great movie, great performance. Number two, I have Crimson Tide.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, terrific action thriller. He played Lieutenant Commander Ron Hunter, who goes up against trigger happy Captain Hackman, who wants to launch missiles before confirming the damn message. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
That was intense. I enjoyed that. Yeah.
When he said, there's a scene in it where he says the true enemy of war is war itself. I mean, and for number one, I chose Glory. His Oscar-winning role. The scene where he's being whipped is powerful because right before he's whipped, he takes whatever he has off, and you see all these scars on the back of his neck from when he was a slave. So he's being whipped on top of that.
Yeah.
But the scene that really moved me was the scene right before they go into the final battle and they're praying and singing.
Mm-hmm.
And they want each one of them to say something. They're like, hey, come on, man, say something. Say something. He said, well, I don't do much praying, and I don't have much family. You guys are my family. I love the 54th.
Yes.
It's a
That was powerful.
terrific
That was
scene,
powerful.
man.
Yeah.
And man, it makes me want to go watch the movie. I have Glory at number one.
Yeah, a very young Denzel, a very young Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
What? No such thing as a young Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman was born 80 years old. He was born that way. He had that voice. If I could do the voice, I would do the voice. Until he got slap me again, I'm gonna slap you. Whatever. All right, so where are we? So all right, so it's my choice. All right, so best Denzel military. Yeah, I mean the only difference. I mean, I had three of those movies that you put down as options. A Soldier's Story, which was the first military movie that he's done, which deserves. He played Private First Class Melvin Peterson, but I'm gonna have to go with Glory, and Glory was that single tear that came from his eye when he was being whipped, and that face, because it's not just about acting and memorizing lines. It's facial reactions. It's controlling. Your face does a lot of the acting for you,
Right.
and you see the strength and the dignity and the perseverance in his face, and he's just like, that single tear. I think that movie, that scene, that picture of him goes together. It's outshined so many other military movies and a lot of other military movies. We just did a military episode. Great. But that scene hit me so much, and it actually also spilled into another category that we're going to talk about, best monologue, and that scene where he's telling his other brothers, like, you are my family, and he has to speak in an uneducated slave type soldier dialogue, if that makes any sense. From just reading it, I can visualize him doing it. And I'm like, man, this is powerful. This is powerful stuff. It obviously won awards and so on. So I'm gonna go with Glory, obviously. So That's a pretty one-sided, in my opinion,
Yeah.
category for military role. I'm gonna take a vote. Who do you choose, Denzel or Samuel for best military role?
Can I go
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
so
he
sorry.
didn't go yet.
I didn't. You were right. You were right. Sorry. Yeah. Which is your
though?
choice? So sorry.
uh, I name all of the. I have the same movies you guys name, but if I have to go with one, I'm going to go with Crimson Tide.
Okay.
Um, the scene when him going against Gene Hackman was really good. The typical coups that happened on the ship or on the submarine was really good. It
Very
was
powerful.
intense, sweaty movie, and I enjoyed it, man. I really enjoyed it, and it's funny that they both end up being right in a weird kind of way.
It's deep.
So
Yeah. And then
yeah,
they kind of admit it at the end.
yeah.
Yeah.
So really good. It was really good between him and Gene Hackman.
Mhm.
Especially when he got hit in the face and he looked up at him.
Yeah.
After Gene Hackman had hit him in the face, he looked up at him and I think it wiped the blood off his nose or whatever. Really good. So
Yeah.
Courage Under Fire is my movie.
Yeah. I love that movie. Is it me or am I? Do I feel like Gene Hackman is very underrated?
Hmm.
I feel like he's been a part of a bunch of great movies, and
Yeah.
people really don't even think about him too much. I mean, that's
I
my
don't think
opinion.
I don't think he stays relevant. He's older now, much older now.
He's
But
like 2,000 years old right now.
yeah,
Like, he's like 90. He retired.
yeah.
Yeah, he has retired, and I see the pictures of him now. And I'm like, damn, I didn't think he was that old. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I kind of remember him in that movie with Will Smith, Enemy of the State.
Oh
Mhm.
man, wow,
You
great
know,
movie.
but yeah, he's been a part of
Anyways,
great roles. Yeah, whatever. I digress. So all right, so let's vote. Best military role: Denzel or Samuel? Who do you guys want to go with? Let me know.
This
I
is
got,
weird. Can I just say this is weird because you would think because of Samuel's personality that and his delivery that he would be like a clear cut winner for this. Especially because the way they portray military movies as that loud, sometimes drill sergeant approach. But I'm actually going to go with Denzel just based solely off of Courage Under Fire for me.
Okay. How about you, Jason?
I gotta go with Denzel
Yeah.
because of, I mean, the three I mentioned, and then you mentioned one, Soldier Story. I mean, when he goes up in Soldier Story, where he goes up against the Sarge there, he's like, unforgettable scene.
Yeah,
He's like, "Ooh,
Yeah.
you,
definitely.
you want to hit old Sarge? Come on." But yeah, if you look at, I mean, if you look at Soldier Story, Glory, Crimson Tide, Courage Under Fire, not only great performances, those are great movies. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah.
Basic, Basic is a good movie.
Uh-huh.
That's what I would say. Rules of Engagement is a very good movie.
Yes.
hmm
Patriot Games is a very good movie, and Samuel's great in all of those. I mean, it's like,
I
but
He
you
know.
got to go with
delivers.
I know
Denzel.
He
it's
delivers.
a losing battle to choose
Yeah,
over.
Yeah.
This makes it very difficult to choose. And I feel like people are also influenced, like which movie was most popular. That people are gonna lean which storyline was like more dramatic.
right.
Those things. I wanted to bring up this point in the beginning, and I totally forgot. I don't know. I can compare it to baseball. I can compare it to football. In football, you can give the running back the ball and he can juke a bunch of people, jump over people, and run for 90 yards, and that's an amazing touchdown. Or you could run in the score and get a 10-yard score, right? Which one's greater? They're both worth 6 points. They're both
Yeah,
great movies. So it's not about choosing which one of these movies are greater.
right.
These actors are both hitting it out the park. So it's really hard to compare the two. I don't
Yeah.
That's
know if that
true.
was specific, but
But yeah, here we are.
but here we are, right? All this pressure on our shoulders, right? All right, so you're gonna go with Denzel. All right, so I guess Denzel wins again. Denzel wins best
Nice.
military role.
Yes.
Okay, salute. Right. All right, let me adjust the score real quick.
What's the next category we got though, Serge?
Give me 1 second. Let me adjust the score.
Mm.
If this thing would allow me to. There we go. Eh. All right, here we go. Denzel 40,000. Samuel Jackson none. All right, all right. So the next. So we just did. All right. So the next one would be best character portrayal.
Okay.
Character portrayal.
Okay. So
Three, two, one.
let me see. All right, Jason, what you got? What you got for Samuel Jackson,
For
best character
Samuel,
portrayal?
for character portrayal. Uh, um, there's a lot to choose from. He's so great. I mean, I just narrowed it down to three. For number three, I have 187, which is a
Great movie.
movie a lot of people haven't seen. A lot of people don't talk about it. It's a terrific movie.
It is a good movie.
1997. He played a New York school teacher was stabbed repeatedly. He moves down to he moves across country to Los Angeles, and trouble just keeps finding him. Man, he runs.
Mhm.
You saw it, right?
Yeah, great
Both you
movie.
guys saw 187. Anyway,
Mhm.
so number three, 187. Number two, I put A Time to Kill. It stars as Carly Haley was accused of murdering two white men who raped his 10-year-old daughter. Terrific movie, a good
Love,
courtroom movie,
love that movie.
but he's really good in A Time to Kill. And
He is.
number one, I picked Jules Winfield, man, Pulp Fiction. I mean, it's
Mm.
Sam's signature role. Even though he's had a great career, but that's him and that. I mean, he was just incredible as Jules from start to
A
finish.
hitman, yeah. A hit,
Yeah, so many
opposite John
wonderful
Travolta,
scenes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Quentin Tarantino, yeah.
Yeah.
All
those
right,
are my three.
Kyle, what you got?
I
Wait,
got
time out. You said those are your three. Which is your choice? You chose Pulp
Oh,
Fiction.
sorry. Yeah, Pulp Fiction would be number one as Jules. He'll
Got
be
it.
my number one.
Okay, cool. What you got, Kyle?
all right. So I had for character portrayal. Um, I don't have any of those movies actually on my list.
Ooh,
I
okay.
have at number four. Surprisingly, the for character portrayal, the RoboCop remake.
What? Really?
The RoboCop remake. He plays a cable news network host, and he's
Mhm.
kind of narrating the story from start to finish, and he just does a really good job. Because if you ever watch MSNBC or one of these Fox, not well, Fox or whatever, these cable whatever
Yeah.
shows, you see he's the passion and everything. He delivers it, and so
He's a
that's number.
he's a great narrator. He
Yeah,
really
yeah,
is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. For that's for number four, and then I have the Hateful Eight, where he plays a bounty hunter,
Mm.
and they stuck in the cabin. Really good movie as well. He really does really good, and
Yeah.
that's gonna come up later on in my categories.
Right.
And then I have Jackie Brown, when he plays Odell, and he is also in the mix of a little bit of everything.
He's a
What
lot of those
else?
characters. A
Hmm.
Yeah.
lot of a lot of that character reminds me of other roles. Yeah.
Yeah.
But for number one, I have to go with the negotiator. For
Ooh.
me, for Sam.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. 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 All right. So there's a lot of pressure on me. Okay. I have Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction is
Mm.
up there. It's a timeless movie. It's riddled with amazing multiple amazing monologues from him and other people. The conversations, the banter between each other, monumental. It was epic. It was a greatly written script, and these characters really made it excel. Samuel Jackson, John Travolta, Vin Rames, Bruce Willis, everyone and their mothers in this movie, right? So I'm teeter tottering between Pulp Fiction and Django Unchained, where he played Stephen Warren,
Mhm.
a head house slave. Now, another Quentin Tarantino movie. Reason why I have Django as one of my choices because his role as a head house slave, I hated him. I hated him. And I hated him not in a way where I hated his acting. I hated his character so much that he truly embodied that role where I hated his role. I
His
hated
character.
his character. Yeah. And for you to truly hate someone, they're doing the right job, right?
It's like Ray Fiennes in Schindler's List.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just
So you're
just hate
doing
him.
your job. You're doing your job. I don't know the other character's name, but in Reservoir Dogs, the guy who cut off the cop's ear when he captured him, he said for years people could not separate that role he played. That he didn't get any work after that. He didn't get any work because people every time they saw him as that sadistic guy
Hmm.
who did a bank heist who chopped off the guy's ear. So I thought he was great as Stephen Warren as the head house slave. Um, but between the two, I also have Coach Carter. It was a biopic of Ken Carter, a basketball coach in the hood that brought a team, to the championship and won it all with his discipline. He was a very hard nosed coach. But between the two, best character portrayal, man, I'm literally making a decision right now. Pulp Fiction, Django. I'm gonna go Pulp Fiction. I'm gonna go Pulp Fiction because that movie was great on many different aspects. We're gonna talk about him later in other categories. So I absolutely got to go with him in Pulp Fiction.
Nice.
Moving along, we're gonna go to Denzel. Kyle, what you got for best character portrayal?
This was rough, man. This
This
was
is
rough.
heavy. This is a heavy
This
role,
is
right?
definitely, yeah. So I could literally go with any of these movies as number one, but I'll
Mhm.
just put them in, and this is no order. I have Malcolm X.
Yeah, me too. Mhm.
I have Malcolm X. Hurricane Carter.
Mhm.
Delivered as Reuben Carter. Fences. He did really good. Really
Mhm.
good. And Mo Better Blues, one of my favorite movies of all time. He
Uh,
played trumpet, Bleak Gilliam, Spike Lee.
Spike Lee. Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
yes. So any of these movies, I would go. But
If you had to pick one,
if I had to pick one, I'm probably going to go with character portrayal. It
yeah.
was probably going to be. I'm going to go with Malcolm X.
Okay. Okay.
And I'm gonna say real quick while I explain, because he became. This is going to come up in another category as well down the line. But he
Mhm.
went from Red, Detroit Red, to Malcolm X in a matter of 2 hours, and he delivered on both fronts.
He did. He
So
did.
yeah,
Absolutely. Okay. All right.
Great
So,
choices.
Jason, what do you got?
Number three, I put him in, and again, as Kyle said, this was this was tough to come up with. But my third choice is the Hurricane. Yes,
Love that movie.
what I loved about the Hurricane is relationship with the young. I forgot the actor's name, the teenage kid who joins the Canadians,
Mhm.
and I love the relationship that they develop. Great performance, and I put the Hurricane at two. I
Yeah.
have Malcolm X.
Yeah.
To me, Malcolm X is like in a class by itself. His performances that is just like
yeah.
it's like
Mhm.
acting at its highest caliber. I mean, it's
Yeah.
number one. It might be a surprising choice, but it's a little film that not a lot of people saw called Mississippi Masala from 1991. I love that
I
movie.
did watch that
I
movie.
love the fact that Denzel would choose to go in this direction after he won an Oscar. You would that tells you a lot about Denzel, because a lot of people, they would win an Oscar and they would get scripts and they
Uh-huh.
would just fling it out the window. They're like, oh no, I'm an Oscar winner. I want something. I want money. I want the. He chose to make this small movie in 1991 with an Indian director of a woman named Mira Nair. Where he
I
My
plays
love
goodness.
her. I love her.
yeah,
I love her. Yeah.
I
she
love her
plays,
too. I
he
love her
played in
too.
that
I
movie. He
love her
played
too.
a carpet cleaner who falls in love with this Indian girl, and not only does he face racism from her family,
Yes.
who totally don't like the idea of
Of
that their
course. Yeah.
daughter dating a black man, but also his family. There's a
Yeah.
great supporting performance in that movie by Charles S. Dutton.
True.
You seen it?
I have seen it, and I,
Yeah.
I I reluctantly mentioned it because I had a crush on her.
Oh
I,
wow.
I had a crush on her from the
Uh,
movie. I'd never heard of her in my life, and I just thought like, oh
yeah.
wow, like it. I live
Well,
in a
I just
I,
wanted to give that movie and that performance credit, so I put that in there.
mm,
And
Yeah.
those are my two.
okay, that's a
I
good
love the
choice.
director.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay, so lost my train of thought.
What's
Okay.
your choices?
Oh, my choices. I'm the
Yeah.
last one. Okay. Uh I'll tell you my choices. I'll start from the bottom. Flight, the movie Flight, biopic, William Whip
Hmm.
Whitaker Sr., powerful role, tough story. He did a great job in that. American Gangster, another story of based off true events. Frank Lucas, American Gangster, black gangster in Harlem that basically did something that was never done before. He thought outside the box and basically made the Italians and everybody have to go through him for his connect of
Heroin.
cocaine, of heroin, right?
Hmm.
and he basically utilized the military to get that into the states. He, that's not my choice, so I'm not gonna keep talking about it. Training Day, Lonzo Harris, he played a great corrupt cop. And then I think my number one choice is Malcolm X. He looked like Malcolm X. He embodied that role. I don't think anybody else could have did a masterful job. No, who would
Yo,
you have said?
you watch Godfather of Harlem?
Yes. Oh, so Forrest Whitaker would have been
No, no,
able
no,
to
no,
play.
not him. The guy who plays Malcolm X in Godfather of Harlem is really good.
I forgot
It's
who is he again?
really, I forgot his name, but he is really
He's gonna
good.
be he's gonna be better than Denzel, especially with the monologues, with these powerful speeches that Malcolm X has given.
Yo,
No one's
yo,
better than Malcolm X.
he's
I mean, oh my
delivering.
bad. But you heard me. No one's better than Denzel.
Did you ever see One Night in Miami?
Yeah, yeah.
Who was the actor who played Malcolm in that?
He's a British actor actually.
He was
He's
good too.
yeah.
He was good too. But I mean, yeah, I mean Denzel was
If
good.
you watch Godfather,
How about this? How about this? How about this? When Denzel played Malcolm X at that time, is there anyone else that could have played it as well as Denzel?
Probably not.
I don't think so.
I'm looking at other people who were relevant at that time, right?
Probably not.
Honestly, that says a lot. In the two instances that we just mentioned outside of Denzel, we mentioned two other great actors who played a great Malcolm X. Because I watched that Forrest Whitaker show where they showed another Denzel. I mean, another Malcolm X, and I thought the same thing. He played a great role as Malcolm X. But I felt like that image with Denzel as Malcolm X on that DVD cover was great enough the way you didn't need anything else. I loved it. I think he was great. So that's my choice for best character portrayal.
Good
For
choice.
me.
Good choice.
So all right, so let's vote. All right, so best character portrayal. Let me go over everything.
I don't know, man.
It could be a tie. It could be a tie.
Could be a tie.
It could be a tie. Listen, Pulp Fiction, epic. A lot of Denzel's roles are epic. I don't know.
I don't think Sam Jackson's ever got into in depth as a character as Denzel did in Malcolm X, or any of a lot of those other movies that we mentioned as well. It was just like, again, two different, and even in Pulp Fiction, he's not the lead man in that Pulp Fiction movie. All these movies that we named for Denzel, for the most part, he's a lead in that.
But he takes leading man roles. They take different scripts, But the question is, both of them are both sticking out as great actors. So who do you go for best character portrayal? Who do you go with? You could stay neutral on this. It's okay. It could be a tie.
I'm going to go neutral for me because I think because Sam Jackson, he gets into so many different characters, and he portrays them so well. But Denzel is very picky with his characters, and we'll get into that a little bit later, I think. But I'm going to go neutral because they're both really committed to it. I just think that Denzel has more screen time to develop his characters compared to Sam Jackson. When he's playing support, he's not developing as long. So I'm going to go neutral.
Right.
Jason, what you got?
I'm going neutral as well. Because when I look at my choices here, two of my Samuel picks are supporting roles. And then he's up against Denzel, 3 picks, 3 lead roles. I mean, it's kind of, I can't really come, I'll have to go, I'll go neutral.
Okay. So my vote doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. But so I'm going to award both of them, okay? I'm going to award both of them. I'm going to go best character portrayal, Denzel, right? And then I'll give you a little best character portrayal, Samuel Jackson.
That picture over there of Sam Jackson and Basic, man, powerful.
It is, right?
He's through the rain, and it's the hurricane.
Bro, he's such a badass. He has a cape, bro. I swear, it's dope. I thought I was
possible Halloween costume for me.
Yeah, I don't know. The true movie lover will understand it. But okay, all right, let's move to the next one. This is a heavy category. Best monologue.
Oh man,
woo! There's so many great monologues, and I was looking into it, and man, these guys are both great. But all right, We're gonna start with Kyle.
Best
Samuel
monologue.
Jackson. Samuel Jackson, best monologue. Go.
Um, for me, I'm gonna go with. I'm not gonna go with Pulp Fiction. That's an obvious choice. Even though it's a really good scene, it's Sam. It's Sam being Sam to me. I'm going to go with Kong. One of my options is gonna go with Kong when they're going through the storm. Really good.
Okay.
Really good for me.
I thought I
I
was the
like
only one thinking like that, but okay. Cool, cool,
I
cool,
like
cool.
Deep Blue Sea before he gets his head cut off. I mean,
Deep Blue
bitten
Sea.
off,
Yeah.
and the
He gives a
Hateful
great
Eight.
monologue before that. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and the Hateful Eight when he's telling when they again Quentin Tarantino is really good with the storytelling from his character standpoint. He does a really good job telling the story. And the Hateful Eight. But if I had to go for one, I am going to go with Pulp Fiction.
Okay, of course.
Yeah,
I can't blame you for that, you know.
yeah. As far as monologue goes,
Yeah. Oh, hold on. All right. What you got, Jason?
Number three choice, I put Django Unchained sledgehammer scene.
Oh.
Remember that?
Ooh. Yeah, hell yeah. Go
I'll
ahead.
go with that. And number two, I put A Time to Kill. There's this great scene where he's talking to his attorney, Matthew McConaughey, and he's like telling him, "My life is in your hands." And
As a matter of fact, I think I might have I don't mean to stop you, slow you up. I'm sorry.
no, it's all right.
I removed it. Sorry. Go ahead. I thought I had it
Yeah,
here, but I don't have it here.
yeah, that was a great scene.
Mm.
And for one, I put Pulp Fiction. I mean,
Yeah.
Ezekiel 25:17. He has two scenes with it and two totally different scenes
Yeah.
of delivering it.
Of what,
Um,
Ezekiel? The
yeah,
Ezekiel speech, the path of the righteous
yeah.
man is to be said on all. I'm not even gonna try to read this whole thing. I can't. I can't.
you're botching because you're not Sam.
Yeah, I'm not Sam, and I can't say motherfucker like him. You know.
Yeah.
But
Let's
yeah,
move on.
listen. The fact that he wore a Jerry curl in this and carried that role so heavy, you
Yeah.
know, people got past the fact that he was wearing a Jerry curl and he as a hitman.
Mhm.
But yeah, okay, cool. So I guess it's my turn, right? Best monologue.
Yeah.
These are my choices. You guys mentioned all my choices. So Pulp Fiction, Django Unchained, A Time to Kill. Time to Kill was great. It was like a court movie mixed with drama. Um, I loved that monologue. I had it here, but then I removed it at the last second. Django Unchained. I hated his character, Stephen Warren, but then he had Jamie Foxx hung upside down when he told his owner that, hey, these guys are trying to con us, and basically they captured him and hung him upside down, and he was naked, but he had his balls covered, and
Mhm.
then he's just giving this speech. It was shivering to me. It was like, oh fuck,
Yeah.
like my God, it was masterful. And then Pulp Fiction. So I'm torn between Pulp Fiction and Django Unchained. I'm gonna have to go with Pulp Fiction because that speech was so polarizing for that role. It was a big part of it of that movie, and there was a lot of great monologues in that movie, a lot of great banters, but that one stuck out to me about a hitman that basically uh had a something happen and it changed his whole frame of thinking. He felt like God stepped in to save him, so he had to change his ways and he had to walk the world. Walk
John
the world.
Travolta accent. When did you
Yeah.
come up with that? When you were sitting there eating that muffin? He's like, yeah, I was eating my
Yeah.
muffin
There was
and
so many
drinking my
great
coffee. And
so many great scenes. It talks about the Royale with cheese and like it was just and the foot rub. There was so many
Yeah.
great monologues and scenes in that. So I'm gonna have to go Pulp Fiction in that. So yeah, that's a very, very strong category for Sam. All right, so let's move on to Denzel. Kyle, what you got?
All right. So my choices for best monologues for Denzel. Um, this one is again. This is going to be tough. At number four, I have the Great Debaters. He's a
Ooh, I like
professor,
it. I
and
like it.
he's giving a speech. He does a few monologues in that, but he does them really well. And then at number three, I have Philadelphia when he plays
Love
Joe
it.
Miller, and he's talking to the jury. At number two, I have Fences,
Okay.
When him and Viola Davis are in the yard and they're telling stories, and
Yes.
you know, they captured the dialect so well. That's how my grandfather and my grandmother would speak. Um, and number one, maybe not the best delivery, but just the words were so chilling, and maybe it wasn't really good delivery. I have the Equalizer, when
Mm.
he tells them that they killed his friend, and the only reason, the only thing he doesn't enjoy that he can't kill him twice. Really good.
I do remember that. I do remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
But of course, and I didn't put Malcolm X in it because we mentioned it so much, but
Yeah.
his
Yeah. Yeah.
opening line for Malcolm X was really good as well. So
Okay.
if I had to pick one, I'm going to go with the Great Debaters.
Okay. Great debaters. Not a bad choice.
Yeah.
I did not expect that out of you guys. I swear. I kind of like had an idea where you guys were going, but I like how you guys are kind of painting the whole canvas. You know what I mean? Jason, what you got?
I also didn't choose Malcolm X here because, like I said before, that's
Yeah.
a league of its own.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
number three, I love that scene in American Gangster where he's arrested and Russell Crowe is asking him to name names, including dirty cops,
Mhm.
and he says, "You want to know what's normal to me?"
Ah,
And he
this one
hits
right
that.
here. This
There
one.
it is, and he smacks that coffee cup away.
Yes. Yes.
You know, and
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, you love it. Yeah, he tells us.
Powerful speech. Yeah.
You
Yeah. Yeah.
show up with a bullet in your head. Great, great, great scene. Great monologue. Two, I
Powerful
have
speech.
Training Day. That classic scene towards the end.
Training
You
day.
know.
Yes.
Oh,
All
you
you
got it
want
all.
is.
Oh man, Pelican Bay. Yeah, great scene. Number one, I chose Glory, man. I chose that scene. It's a
Yeah.
it's
I
a,
like that one.
a very very powerful scene. That they already know that that's most likely going to be their last night together as a group. The
Yeah. Yeah.
next day is gonna, and when he steps up, and here's a guy that was really defiant throughout most of the film, but here he realizes this is his family, these are his brothers, and I love the 54. It's a great
Love
scene.
the 54.
So that's my number.
That was a great speech. Yeah, I had that speech too. There's so many to choose from, but
Yeah.
I try to upload some of them. But okay, all right. So my choice, I'll go through my choices. Fences, Troy Maxon. Who the who the hell said I got to like you? Love that scene with the son. John Q. I'll never leave you. I think I have that here, right here.
Mm.
Um, just reading that makes me emotional. Makes me emotional because he's having a monologue with his son, who he knows he's gonna go away for his actions that actually help keep his son alive. Um, with this crazy industry of healthcare in America, which is insane. Um, that hit me emotionally. Remember the Titans, Coach Boone, listen, take a lesson from the dead, where he basically has them run at 3 in the morning, and the white coach is like, Coach, like these are high school kids, like why are you treating them like this? And then he gives this speech, like, you see that over there? That land is where all these people died, and the baddie of Gettysburg, and he does a comparison. Very, very, very inspirational. American Gangster, Frank Lucas, You Know What's Normal, which is what you mentioned. Training Day, Alonzo Harris, King Kong, and You Got Nothing on Me. So, man, I think Training Day is one of his most polarizing roles for a monologue, but I'm gonna change it at the last second, and I'm gonna go with Fences. That speech, he was playing. The character he played was a very old fashioned, stubborn, cold father. And that's a very tough role to play. And I feel like it's kind of reminiscent of all our grandfathers to a certain degree. So, and he got to play against what's her name,
Viola Davis.
Viola Davis, who was masterful as well.
Yeah.
So her playing off of Denzel was fun to watch. But I'm gonna go with Fences, Troy Maxon. Who the hell said I got to like you to his own son?
Mm.
As best monologue.
Yes, man.
So man, these guys are both like journeymen, man, and watching them in their element is great. It makes the movie for me. So
Yeah.
so let's vote. If you had to choose for best monologue, who would you go with, Kyle?
Zell.
Zell?
Yeah.
Okay. What about you? What about you, Jason?
Oh boy,
No pressure. No pressure at all.
man, this is a tough one. I'll go with Denzel.
Woo! Okay. So I was gonna
Yeah,
go with Sam, but I guess we're gonna go with Zell. Zell. Best
Yeah.
monologue goes to Denzel. Obviously, he's been a part of more great monologues. I felt like the Pulp Fiction monologue triumphed both of them, but nonetheless, both of them are great in their own rights. So I'll change the score. So best monologue goes to Zell. He's killing it. So our next category would be most
Dynamic
dy-
range.
let me pull that up. Most dynamic range, and we're gonna start with Samuel Jackson and Jason. What you got?
dynamic range. Yeah, for number three, I put Black Snake Moan. I
Really?
really like
Okay.
that performance a lot. A lot of people, for some reason, didn't see that movie. He played a Mississippi bluesman who holds this troubled local girl captive in his house in an attempt to cure her of nymphomania. She's played by Christina Ricci. Really
Yeah.
unusual film, but
Hmm.
just a terrific performance by Samuel in that.
Hmm.
Number two, I picked another independent film that he starred in 1997 called Eve's Bayou.
Yeah.
I was really impressed by his work in that. He played a husband, a womanizer, and man, that's just. I don't want to give away too much for anyone who's never seen it, but it's directed by Casey Lemons, who's a terrific actress.
Mm.
She was in Silence of the Lambs. She was in a lot of good stuff, but she's very talented. And at number one, I picked the role that really put him on the map as a dramatic actor. I think in Jungle Fever, where
Mm.
he played Wesley Snipes' drug addicted brother Gator. I
Yes.
mean,
Okay, I
he you
like it.
talk about stealing all the scenes he was in,
That's a
and what's
tough role.
interesting
Yeah.
is that Sam at that time was like weeks away from his own recovery with drug addiction, but he
Mhm.
was awesome, and again, I think that's the movie where a lot of people said, "Wow, this guy is something special," you know. So
Okay.
I put
That's
him
a
as
good
number
choice.
one.
Okay. All right. So I guess it's my turn. Whew,
Well, it could be my turn, but if you're gonna skip me this time, are you gonna skip me this time?
I've been trying to keep it random, but if
All
you
right, go
want to
ahead.
go,
No, go
if
ahead.
you
No,
want to go,
you
you
skip
can
me.
go. You can
No,
go.
no,
Go
you
ahead.
don't skip me. Go ahead.
No, I'm not gonna skip you, but
Okay.
it doesn't matter which order we give it in. But you want to go? Go ahead. Go.
No, go ahead. You always go last.
Okay. Okay. All right. So most dynamic range. We're gonna talk. I have four. Pulp Fiction. He's a hitman. Works alongside Vincent Vega, but after a moment of clarity, decides to walk the earth. Shaft. He plays John Shaft, the man who took down mobsters and criminals, based off a remake, and he basically embodied that role. Coach Carter, a no nonsense high school coach who helped change the lives of students and athletes on the basketball team at an inner city high school in Northern California. And Django, he played a head house slave. So those roles, just the varying degrees of roles that he had to change it up with. Those are my choices for him. Um, those are my choices. What about you?
All right. So I have the range I have. He went from um Django. I started off at Django. You mentioned already his character.
Hmm.
Then he went to play the negotiator in the negotiator.
Hmm.
And then we show more range where he plays a villain in Spirit. Um,
Hmm.
and in the Kingsman, we had his lists.
I like that.
And I ended off as Soul Man when he
Funny.
plays a
Soul Man.
Soul Man.
Okay.
He plays a musician across from Bernie Mac. So really good
I
range
like
there,
that.
and
I like that.
you know, so
I miss Bernie Mac, but yeah, that. I like those choices. I like
yeah,
those choices a lot.
good
All right.
range for him.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So those are good choices. We're gonna move on to Denzel. What you got, Kyle? Start it off.
So I go from Philadelphia when he played the at the time when we thought would be considered homophobic lawyer, and he goes to the Great Debaters when he plays the professor, and then I have taken of Pelham 1 2 3 when he plays the MTA conductor, not the strong, you know, masculine man he usually is.
Mhm.
And then I'm going to go to Book of Eli,
I love that
where
movie.
the post-apocalyptic world, and he is a killer for the most part, and he takes the liking of a young girl. He gets us to safety, and I Roman Escrow. It was where I'm going to end up at, where he is very
Yeah.
different for him,
That's a very
um,
different role. Yeah.
very different role. So you know, and he plays a lawyer that an unorthodox lawyer um, who's trying to survive in the modern day. You know,
Mhm. I like that. I like that. A lot of people don't watch, haven't seen that movie or even know about that movie. But it's also, what is it? Is it a biopic? Yeah, it's also yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to say that. I don't know
Roman
if it's
Escrow
about.
is a lawyer. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Roman what?
Roman
Escrow.
Escrow.
Israel.
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 Yeah, Israel. Yes,
I was
Yeah.
like, what movie was that? I didn't see that one.
Israel. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people didn't like that. He was great in that, man.
he
Yeah.
was great in that.
With
But
that
yeah,
big
Movie was
afro
just
and he had the headphones over it.
he literally a Herbie, very smart guy. But like he did a great job in that. You're right.
yeah.
Yeah,
He was really, that's a
I
good
think that
choice.
was him pushing the envelope and trying to take a character that's dominant and masculine and I mean not
Yeah.
saying that he wasn't masculine, but he was very intellectual. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All right, I like those choices a lot, Kyle. Very good job with that. All right, Jason, what you got?
For range, I started with this. No, I started with 87. His first Oscar nomination was for Cry Freedom, where he played Steve Biko.
Mhm.
That's a great performance, man.
It was.
Not only that, he had the accent down, and they asked other actors who've done South African accents and stuff. It's really hard, and I think he nailed it, man.
Hmm.
Um, and he went from that to my next choice. A lot of people, again, a lot of people didn't see. There was a romantic comedy called Much Ado About Nothing. So he goes from that, and then he does Shakespeare. You know what I mean?
Yes,
That's to
yes,
tell you the range that this guy had. There's nothing he can't do.
yes, yes,
You know
yes.
what I'm saying? And
He
he was
does.
great in that. If you ever take a look
Macbeth
at it.
and Macbeth.
And then
That's
right,
too.
and
Yeah,
then he did Tragedy of Macbeth
yeah,
last year or
yeah.
2 years
Mhm.
ago, whatever.
I
Like
haven't seen that yet, but I want to because that's one of my
Cinematography.
that's one of my most favorite Shakespeare stories.
right. And
Cinematography is amazing.
he's
You
fantastic in it.
you
And
like
that's
yeah?
that could be another choice for monologue because there's
Yeah.
classic monologues in that
It's
too.
all monologue. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah. Okay.
And then I take him all the way to Training Day because he played a villain, and in Training Day, what I loved is how he could go from just cool and even funny to like brutal and ruthless, just
Ruthless,
like that. There's a
ruthless.
scene
Yeah.
where after I don't know, I always got a kick out of the scene where after Ethan is all drugged up and he's like this, he's driving and he's like the way he's looking at him and he's like,
Yep.
just
Yep.
without words.
Yeah.
That's what he's so great at. So
My nigga.
yeah,
He said,
I think
he said that all over that show, all over that
you've been
movie.
smoking PCP all day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so those are my choices there.
Yeah. Why don't you unlearn that training stuff like they taught you? Like
Mhm.
when they pull over those college kids that came to buy drugs.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. That was powerful. I mean, listen, that movie hit a lot of people. It was great. All right. All right. So for mine, I got Malcolm X, obviously. Like that role stuck with me. Training Day, a corrupt, conniving cop, he did great in that. American Gangster, American drug trafficker. I just love the the monologues he's had. That monologue on branding, on Coca-Cola, it's a brand.
It's a brand name, like
Yeah,
Pepsi.
brand name. Yeah, love that. Love that. He had multiple great monologues, but to encompass that role was real talent. And one of my favorite of all time, the Hurricane, which I felt like was very underrated, based off of true events. Reuben Hurricane Carter, an American Canadian middleweight boxer, wrongfully convicted and imprisoned for murder until release following a petition of habeas corpus after almost 20 years in prison. Powerful story. Powerful
Mhm.
story. Great story. I couldn't believe it happened. There was even a song that was made.
Mhm.
Um, Bob Dylan. Who made that song? I forgot who made that song. I'm
It was
sorry.
Bob.
Bob Dylan. That basically tells the story of the hurricane, and the hurricane was his nickname. And I don't know, man. That story stuck with me, and him being locked. Like one of the scenes that stuck with me was him being locked in isolation when he first got to prison because he refused to put on the prison uniform because he was like, I am not a guilty man and I will not wear a guilty man's clothes. So he stayed in his shirt and tie in isolation. And then when he came out, there was like, all right, you're gonna put the uniform now. He said he put up his tie, he was all filthy and everything. He was like, nah, I'm good, I'll go back in. You know,
Yeah.
it showed dedication, it showed his dignity, it showed so many positive things. He was great. He embodied that role. He was
I like
amazing.
that scene where he's pulled over. We're looking for two Negroes in a white car. He goes, any two will do.
Exactly. Exactly. Great movie. So those are my choices for most dynamic range. It's time to vote. I know it's a very difficult thing. Where you at, Kyle?
I'm going with Sam on this one.
Sam. Okay.
Sam. Yep.
Where are you going with this, Jason?
I'm going with Sam.
Sam?
I'm
Okay,
going
so
with
I get
Sam because when you look at the little roles he had, he was even in Goodfellas.
he
Remember?
was. He was.
But when he was in Jungle Fever, and if you look at that filmography after Jungle Fever, and you just follow it, you see how he just got better and better and better. I'm going with Sam.
Okay. That's cool. I mean, you can't go wrong, honestly. I didn't want to mention that whole Goodfellas thing because he was part of such an amazing cast and his role was small, but he played it well, you know. But yeah, I loved him in that as well. So I guess as usual, my vote doesn't count. Thank you guys. We're gonna go with most dynamic range. We didn't even mention Mr.
Do the right
Glass
thing. Oh,
or Do the Right Thing, right? He's played so many great roles, man. Both of these guys are great. You
You
know,
could you could go and do a second list on just films that weren't even mentioned here.
yeah.
you're right.
I mean, there's so many.
You're right. This juggernaut battle, I think it's like almost kind of like it can go either way. Nonetheless, sorry, whatever. So I that side is actually going to Samuel. Let me adjust the score real quick. So that brings us to 2.5 to 3.5. I guess Denzel's the winner, man. Denzel's the winner. Um, Very tough battle. Did you know? I mean, besides the fact, I mean, these are the categories that we chose. Obviously, Sam has been a part of all these amazing franchises in Star Wars. I wouldn't call this a great franchise, but it's a franchise nonetheless. Triple X, Triple X. He's also
Marvel.
Marvel. He's part of the huge Marvel. Also, he was in Blade. Did you guys catch that or no? No.
You know, I can't remember.
He was an extra in Blade.
I know he was in
There you
Jurassic
go.
Park.
Right, he was in Blade right there. That's him right there. Look up. Look at the screen.
Yeah, I know. Yes, that-
He was not. He was not an extra, but he could have been. But like, nonetheless, I just thought that was a funny picture. I thought I'd share. So, obviously, I'll put the score back up, man. I mean, both these guys are juggernauts, are journeymen in their own rights, man. It was hard to really compare the two, and that's the point: is to stir up conversations and talk about the multitude and great acting prowess of the both of them.
Samuel was
Oh,
in a great TV show I used to watch when I was a kid called Ghost Rider on
never seen
Channel
that.
13.
Really?
Yeah, I tell you, he's the guy's been everywhere, man.
yeah.
Yeah, both these guys have been everywhere. So, all right. So I thought this was going to be a quick episode, but how do you talk quickly about these two juggernauts of actors? There's a winner, but there really isn't a winner. You know, the winner is Denzel in this face-off clash. We'll have many other face-off clashes coming on the horizon. Um, I'm sorry, I didn't upload our next one. I'll I'll share that on YouTube and as well as on Facebook in the group on what our next choice will be for Face Off Clash. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys for doing the work and being a part of this cool episode. You guys have offered some really cool insights and perspectives to this. Anything you guys want to add?
No, man. Thanks for having me, bro. This was fun.
Yeah, I apologize for falling asleep on the Last of Us episode, man. I would have liked to have joined you, but
It's all right, man. It's all right. We got plenty of episodes on the horizon. Thank you guys for checking us out. Please feel free. I'll give us to check us out at oh, wrong one. There we go, right here. Media Chop Up on YouTube. Just type in Media Chop Up. Feel free to subscribe. We got plenty more cool things in the horizon. Plus, we love interactions. We love feedback. We love opinions. So shoot us something. Shoot us messages. Write comments. We love your likes, man. We appreciate you. We're gonna keep going, man. Thank you guys. Always remember to do what you love and love what you do, man. Until the next episode, we'll see you. Salute. Catch y'all later. Peace.
Later.